What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, and I'm back at y'all with another one. This is some of the most bizarre information that I have ever talked about. You're going to hear here in this interview World Boxing Council, better known as WBC, President Mauricio Sulaiman. The statement he makes because Chris Manny is going at Mauricio Sulaiman for charging $120,000 to Shakur Stevenson, who is now the undefeated Olympic silver medalist, first ballot Hall of Famer, 4-division world champion, former unified lightweight, and reigning WBO junior welterweight undefeated world champion, who has 25 wins, no loss, no draw, 11 wins by way of knockout, after his beautiful performance against 2-division world champion, superstar boxer, former unified lightweight, former WBO junior welterweight, Teofimo Lopez, who is now 22 wins, 2 losses, no draws, 13 wins by way of knockout. The WBC stripped Shakur of his 135-pound belt because they said Shakur petitioned them. He followed the rules. He petitioned them to inform them. He don't have to do anything, but he informed them that he was going up to 140 to challenge Teo for his WBO belt, just to inform them. They wanted Shakur Stevenson to pay $120,000 to do so. That's bizarre. That's ridiculous. Now, Mauricio Sulaiman, in this interview with Chris Manning, states that he'll do interviews with everybody. So I'm going to reach out because I need to know where the $100,000 goes to. Chris Manning saying, why would he have to pay it? And he keeps saying, well, it's in the rule book. No, who cares about the rule book? Why are you charging a fighter $120,000 and you're not involved in the fight? Nonetheless, Chris Manning tells him, you bend the rules all the time. First, he says it's not about money. Chris Manning says clearly it's about money. He says, no, it's not. It's about principle. So Chris Manning says, well, it's about money with Shakur. Then he says, well, it's just the rule book. It's less than the 3%. Why is he paying you $125,000 to be a world champion? You have to pay to be a champion in your sport is ridiculous. That means you can buy your way to being a champion and not earn it. Right? Clear as day. Nonetheless, Chris Manning say you bend the rules all the time. You did it with Jermall Charlo, who held the WBC belt for 3 years, and you never stripped him. He goes on to say, get this, that the 2-division undefeated world champion, who has 34 wins, no loss, no draw, 23 wins by way of knockout, Jermall Charlo, Lions Only Charlo, Hitman Charlo, Jermall Charlo, because of the things he was going through mentally, sat down with Mauricio and told Mauricio if Mauricio strips him of his belt, he will unalive himself. Because that's the only thing keeping him alive. What? Now, I don't know if Jermall Charlo said this or not. Either which way, it's absolutely bizarre. Then he goes on, because Chris Manning says, you never ordered Canelo or stripped Canelo and forced him to have to fight his mandatory, which was David Benavidez. Then he goes on to simply tell you that David Benavidez ducked Canelo. Listen here.
So he got completely out of, he was completely disturbed in his person. The WBC ordered an interim championship with Adames in order to have the division active. I met with Jermall Charlo several times, and I promised him. He told me that the only thing in life keeping him from making a stupid decision like killing himself was because he was a WBC champion. And I saw and I met him and his wife, and I promised him to have the full WBC support until he got his mental situation better. And if you're going to blame that for me and say that I break the rules, I take it. I took the fighter's life and I took the fighter's sentiment and did not affect anyone in doing so. You want to talk about Canelo Alvarez? Benavidez, same thing. Canelo was a champion. Benavidez accepted to fight an interim championship. And when he fought on March of 23, I think, he had, that was the final elimination for the mandatory position that would take place 1 year later. Before that year later that we were to enforce the fight, he moved up to light heavyweight. I can give you all the timeline of each case that you would like to discuss if you give me the opportunity, and don't judge me without knowing the facts.
Right. I don't even have, first of all, with David Benavidez, he waited around forever to get his opportunity, and y'all never enforced it on Canelo. That's the facts. And then David Benavidez decided it ain't never happened and I'm leaving the division. As far as Jermall Charlo's situation, I'm leaving that up to y'all in the comment section to let me know what y'all think about that. This whole situation is bizarre. This is why Dana White, TKO, Zuffa Boxing, and His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh need to take over the sport of boxing, because this is beyond diabolical. And the sanction bodies, we need to go ahead and do away with them ASAP, because you got to pay to be a champion. Imagine NFL teams having to pay to win the Super Bowl. Imagine NBA having to pay to win the NBA finals. Imagine the NHL hockey team having to pay to win the Stanley Cup. Imagine Major League Baseball having to pay to win the World Series trophy. Dependent. It's diabolical on every sense of the level. But let me know what y'all think about this, man. That's all I got for y'all. It's your boy Blue signing off. I'm gone. Peace.